Welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. Today I have a different kind of a show. So, with us winning the races that we needed to win, I figure why not have a little bit of fun? We are here with Can't Tell Us Nothing. You can't tell these guys anything. I did it. I tried a little bit of grammar here now. We are here with one of the best improv shows in the country. Can't Tell Us Nothing. Welcome aboard, guys. How you guys doing today?
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We're doing awesome.
Well, let me tell you something now. I am not very apt in dealing with four people at the same time that have the same level. So since you guys know each other, I'm going to say, please, introduce yourself and tell people a little bit about your group.
We are Can't Tell Us Nothing, an improv group out of Houston, Texas. We've been together for 5 years?
5 years.
Yeah.
Forming in Houston and around the country. We've been to Los Angeles. We've been to New York. We've been to Austin, Dallas, San Antonio. Where else? LA. Yeah. So my name is Antoine. I've been doing improv for 8 years.
Yeah.
8 years now. And these guys are some of the funniest people I've ever met.
My name is Amechi. I've been doing improv for 6 years now? Around 6 years. I know it's 2 months longer than John, so I was hoping he would go next. I don't know the exact time. Loving living in Houston, originally from England.
Before we finish, Amechi, your accent was different from that guy up top named Antoine. Where is that from, man?
I'm originally from England. I grew up in London. Moved out to Texas when I was 16.
So you see, folks, we even have an improv guy here in Houston from London.
I'm John Myles. I'm the wild card of the group. That doesn't mean anything special. It's just I'm typically the one that makes all the worst choices on stage. Nonetheless, I believe it is 7 years, Amechi.
Okay.
And it is, he did start 2 months before I did. He was like one of the first people I met. And, we kind of grew up together in improv until we met Antoine and Tandy, and they were dope. And I'm gonna pass it on to Tandy to tell her side.
That's right. Bringing up the rear. I am Tandy. Well, my name is Tandiwe Kone. I'm a native Houstonian. I have been doing improv for 8 years. Antoine and I started out in the same class, so that's good. I don't have to keep up with the years he does. Love performing with these guys. It's been an amazing ride. It's been an amazing ride with these fellas. They are some funny individuals, creative, hitting all the marks. I'm just glad to be along for the ride.
Should we explain what improv is?
Yeah,
do that, Antoine.
Please do.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what we do is a form of improv called long form improv comedy, and essentially it's taking what you've seen on like SNL or Mad TV or whatever sketch show you know of, Key and Peele, and we just make it up on the spot on stage or over this thing right here and put it online as a podcast. But yeah, we make up scenes. There's characters, there's plot twists, there's surprises. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Now, let me tell you, folks, that I met these guys at a function we had at KPFT for the presidential elections, and they, I told a little story, and they turned that one story into several stories, and they just had us laughing up the gazoo. And I finally begged them and say, hey, would you guys give me the honor of being on Politics Done Right? And I kind of put it on your Facebook page, right? And then I said, let's see what they're going to say, because they're going to say, we don't want to deal with no damn politics. And you know what? They said yes. So when they said yes, I said, you know what? Let's get busy. So anyhow, hey, Antoine, let me ask you something. Is this a side gig, a full-time gig? Do you guys have jobs? How do you do all of this stuff?
It's a great question. It is at the moment like a very side gig hustle, like, but it is growing. Like we have been approached by multiple people to collaborate, to help build, to grow our brand and help their theaters or help what they're trying to do. So right now, I think we all have day jobs, but we are very excited to see where this can go and where it can take us.
And what's your expectation, John?
My expectation, I'm very ambitious. I want to build. There's a place called Second City that's in Chicago. It's like the foundation or the capital of where improv and comedy is. And I actually believe we can have that in Texas. And my sights are on building that kind of infrastructure here. And I know it's going to take time, and we still got a whole lot of stuff to do. But that's where I see it going.
Is that where your group would be sort of the lead group to bring a lot of other acts like that on, or is that what we're talking about?
Yes, and there's a lot of like Austin is doing a decent job at stretching and finding other ways to kind of spread the art form into other places. I just think it's kind of how we got together. Well, there's a whole lot of folklore on how we got together, but one of the principles where we all were performing and learning this art form and naturally looking for a way to, someone that you can identify with that can kind of teach you maybe even more connected, right? And we didn't really have that in a group. So we formed a group. And one of the things was going around and performing and getting other people that looked like us or identified with us or our culture or diversified in culture and in comedy. So that's kind of a little bit of a mission that we do. I think it's embedded in just the work we do. I don't think we like have an actual goal like that we're trying to chip away at, but I think in the DNA, we recognize when we go out and perform that there could be someone like us that may say, hey, I've never seen this, I want to learn it, which will grow the community and hopefully inspire other artists.
Absolutely. Now, Tandy, I hate to make the first question that I'm asking you directly having to do with gender, but I figure since I'm seeing 4 guys on the screen and 1 woman, I better do that because some other people would say, why is Tandy the only woman right there? So I'm going to leave that up to you to answer however best to answer.
Well, I think I'll answer the first part of your question, which is why is Tandy the only woman here with these 3 guys? And when we formed the group, I think the person, I'm not going to name who formed it, but the person who set out to get us together said, I want to pick some of the best improvisers, Black improvisers in our theater, and let's just get together and form a group. I think at the time I was, I think the only woman improviser who had gone through, Black woman improviser who had gone through all of the classes. And so I happened to be good, pat myself on the back.
Actually, you're very good.
and so they, when the idea was introduced to me, I was like, yes, absolutely fantastic. Of course I'll join, because John said it, and we don't necessarily dance around it, or at least I won't. But when you look at improv groups throughout the United States, typically you'll find that they're white male dominated. Mm-hmm. So to see an improv group, first of all, Black people, and then, to have a Black woman in that group is not a usual thing. It's rare. We don't want it to be rare. We want more people to know what improv is, more Black people to know what improv is, because all Black people know about stand-up, but we want them to know improv, that improv has led to a lot of the great comedic actors that and that you see on television and in movies, and we just want to expose them there. And just being a woman, it's, again, it's also very male-dominated art form, so it's possible to have a group with 4 Black men, that is possible, but I'm just so honored that they extended the invitation to me.
I just got schooled, because my next question after hearing this was going to be about, look, we have a lot of these Black comedians from Richard Pryor and all of that, not realizing that, yeah, you have a lot of stand-up but not improv. So I didn't quite, even as I'm speaking to you guys, and even I've done this several times, I hadn't made the distinction between the several acts, the several type of, would you call it, is it okay to call it a comedic act or like
I think so.
a comedic act? Now, Amechi, coming, there are 5 of us on this thing here. 2 of us actually came from somewhere else. Okay. Now, let me ask you, how was your integration into the group? I mean, what a lot of people don't realize, right, is being Black is one thing, right? But all Black ain't the same. So there are different experiences that you have, that I know you have, that is quite different than, let's say, Antoine and John and Tandy. So how did that mix come on? What kind of flavor did you bring to the group that kind of expanded its role, or expanded the kind of comedy that you guys were able to provide?
Hear this, yeah.
Well, it was very hard at first. I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say,
yeah, and I think this is one of the things where being different helps. It's good to have. We're 4 people, but we're from different places. We have different experiences, and I think that helps our improv, because we bring different ideas together in fun ways, in ways that people wouldn't normally expect. Because I grew up in England. I lived for a year in Nigeria. I lived in Texas. I lived in Alabama. I was an athlete. I've had a lot of different things. Lots of different kind of experiences come together. John said some of the same things. Antoine said some of the same things. Tandy has some of the same things. So there's things that where we connect, but then we also throw in a bunch of different ingredients that we don't know about, so we can even educate each other in things, and we can discuss things in new and fun different ways. It was definitely a benefit. I think that we're not 4 siblings who all grew up in the same house and or went to the same school and all know the same things. We all bring something different to the table, which I think is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I can attest to that, having been it. So let me see if this is something that I can actually ask. Donald Trump has lost his mind, and he thinks that he can still win the election. You guys are improv. Does improv work where somebody say, can you do an improv on that?
All right, I got an idea. Hey, y'all.
Yeah, what's up? What's going on?
Normally, I got a bunch of ideas.
Yeah.
I always have ideas.
Ideas,
right.
All the time.
All the time, man.
Too many.
I'm kind of stuck, man. I'm feeling like my idea factory is not working right now.
Your idea factory is clogged? The machinery's down?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's been like, I've been writing jokes in the room all day, and I just feel like every Donald Trump joke has been done. I think he beats us to the punch, man. I just can't.
Yo, we're about to go on Egberto's show. We need you there with the Donald Trump jokes, man.
I mean, the factory started again, man.
Why did y'all promise 50 jokes? Why did y'all say 50? You'll get 50 Donald Trump jokes. Why did you promise him that?
John, you did 75 Biden jokes, and we didn't even ask you to. So I mean, 50 on Trump. That's nothing, man. You can do this.
Can I come clean with y'all?
Of course.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Of course.
It was about 63 of those was from Trevor Noah's show.
No, John.
No, you've been stealing jokes.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
You told us not to watch him anymore.
Listen, I didn't think anybody still watched him when he was growing his hair out and stuff. I just figured it. I mean, they're just wasted jokes. Let me just transform them into this platform. But everybody has a Donald Trump joke.
You saying if we took a joke that came out of the John Idea Factory and took the label off, we'd find a Trevor Noah label on it? Is that what you're telling us right now?
Yes, that's what I'm telling you.
Oh, wow.
Oh. I know, but listen, Egberto loved them, though. He loved them. That's what got us here. Yeah, I wouldn't have stole those jokes. We wouldn't have been on Egberto's show.
John, we gave you an award. Like the funniest Funniest Trump Joke of the Week award several times.
The Donald Trump Award.
The Donald Trump Award.
We named it after you and him.
Award.
We took up a collection, John. I took some of the money from my rent to put in that collection. Because I thought you deserved it, man. I thought you.
Yeah, I was seeing it as like a stimulus package for the Idea Factory.
You know, listen, I appreciate all of that. You know, those awards are hanging up in my room that I was trying to write jokes from. But to be fair, it did take a couple of hours to sit through all of those Trevor Noah jokes. I mean, there's a lot of bad jokes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Wait, hold on. You want credit? You want credit for the time you spent stealing jokes?
I mean, there is labor, right? I mean, that's part of the joke.
You were watching TV. Labor. That's not labor.
That's junk.
No, it is labor. I had to rewrite what I thought he was trying to say in the joke. Listen, all I'm saying is all the artists steal. There's just nothing I can steal with Donald Trump. Everything has been stolen. There's no more Donald Trump jokes. All right. But I can get a couple more, Joe Bidens out there. I still see that they're doing them.
Nobody want that. Man. John.
Egberto loves Joe Biden. You can't joke about him with Egberto.
Listen, I'm a comedian, okay? I can joke about whatever I want. All right? Whatever.
Y'all know it does it first, huh?
And scene. That's a little bit of what we do.
And it's funny because they come up with this stuff. You just ask and it happens. And that is not easy. I can tell you that is not. I can tell you something. Doing politics is a lot easier because you're dealing with stuff that's already there. That was great, guy. But seriously, getting on a little serious topic here. Before we actually started talking, I was talking to John, and we were talking about how much politics we're going to talk about, and we decided that we weren't going to talk a whole lot of politics, right? But then Jonathan told me a little bit of his story, and we take this stuff very seriously. We at Politics Done Right are proponents of Medicare for All because people really need it. It is very important, that particular issue of everybody having health insurance. And what we're doing in the United States right now, we call pretty much antiseptic murder. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your story, Jonathan, that we discussed earlier with you and your wife and what went on?
Absolutely. So this year, in the midst of COVID-19, in June, my wife was diagnosed with stage 3 inductal carcinoma, invasive inductal carcinoma. She'll kill me for messing that up. I'm sorry, y'all. But nonetheless, she was diagnosed with it. And my wife just turned 30 in January. We had a 11th-month-old baby that she was still breastfeeding at the time. And if it wasn't for breastfeeding, we probably wouldn't have found the tumor. So, of course, like anybody who gets that information, and also as young as we are, we were terrified. And part of my background was in finance. So not only thinking about the mortality side, I also thought about the financial side as well. And that also looked terrifying. My wife had her care done at MD Anderson. And also, there was no way that they would let me into the hospital. So the whole time she's done her treatment, her surgeries, anything, she's had to do that by herself. And so that was also challenging. One of the ways that we were able to keep up with the financial bills, since we didn't qualify for any type of financial assistance, none. There was just none available to us. And it wasn't, from our caseworker told us, it wasn't even worth looking or applying. So we decided to go to GoFundMe. We designed buttons. My wife designed Jack hoodies. And she, even in the midst of going through chemo treatment, was out there connecting with people online, sharing her story, and people were donating in exchange of those items. November 18th, my wife had her double mastectomy, which was the first time that we knew that the cancer cells weren't in her body. And as of Monday of this week, she was given a report that she was totally cancer-free. They didn't find one microcell in any of her tissue in what they removed. So the gorilla pounds that was on our shoulder just left. And I'll tell you what, her perseverance and her willingness to live and to connect and to reach out to people potentially helped save a just tremendous like avalanche of other problems that we had. And of course, MD Anderson is not cheap. So just seeing the bills roll in, was enough to faint, like I think there was like a needle that she had to use to inject steroid after a treatment that I believe was $18,000. $18,000, man, just to have this patch. And it was and when you're fighting or wanting your family member to fight for their life, your significant other, there's not enough money that somebody could show you that would make you go, man, no, so you got to take what you can get because you got to keep her going. You got to keep her living, but there wasn't one day, and some of the worst days, emotional ways I had was thinking about what are we going to do with this big financial burden that's just growing week after week after week after week. And, like I say, shout out to everybody that helped anyway. We had people sending us dinners. We had people just chipping in anyway. And of course, we were able to go and hit that out-of-pocket max quickly with the support of our friends and family to protect us, because a lot of that money was going to go to our children going to school. So that was my journey. My group, shout out to them. Every week they let me do this podcast with them every week. And sometimes that was only the only hour or two that I actually laughed in a day or two, right? Because of how much worrying or how much stress that I was under. But even the days that I sucked on the podcast, it still gave me something to live for, so I appreciate them for that. But that's been my story in a nutshell.
Let me tell you, John, I believe stories are some of the best way to communicate and actually effect change. And I think the thing about it is, in America, we know how to suffer in silence. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the worst things that's out there. And when one shares stories, when people are able to hear each other's stories, they realize, first of all, that they're not alone. But secondly, that your story today can be my story tomorrow. And once we understand that, we can start from a political standpoint, we can start talking about policies that help everybody without somebody think, well, it's only he's going to benefit from that, as opposed to just maybe if I am in your position, I would be able to benefit. As a person who has a wife with lupus, with those kinds of expenses, I understand your pain. And it's interesting because earlier on, we also spoke to Amechi, who is originally from England and understands that they don't have that problem that we have at all. Nobody is going to go bankrupt from or lose their income from that. So thank you for telling the story, and thanks for having this little interlude where we could get a little bit of our politics in there. And I'm so happy that your wife is doing much better. So going forward and kind of cheering it up a little bit more, I just want to thank you guys, right, for who you are and for what you do, and ask you to tell the audience here, whether here in Houston or elsewhere, how can they really be a part of all that fun that you guys have to offer?
Sure, I can mention a few things. So if you want to find out more about what we do, if you want to see our show, if you want to reach out and connect, have a question, think you'd be a great guest, find us. C-Ton Improv is what you want to Google. CTUN Improv on Facebook is probably your best bet. But we're also on YouTube. We're also on Instagram. We also have our own website, ctonimprov.com. So check it out on all those platforms. And let us know what you think. Reach out, say hi.
Please tell me something you wish I had asked you personally. So let's go ahead and start with Tandy. What did you wish I would have asked you?
I wish you would have asked me, Tandy, what made you get into improv? Why did you gravitate to this?
So answer it.
No, okay. Hey, look, I neglected the arts in my life after I graduated from high school and went to college. I just stopped doing artistic things and focused on other things. And then when the other things got overwhelming, I realized I needed an outlet. So I'm a nurse, and I noticed that humor helped me get through the day, through some of the pressures and the rigors of that profession. And I used to say my patients were my patients' rooms were my stage. I'd open up the door and I'd step on stage. So when I when I realized, yeah, I kind of do need this outlet, I found improv comedy as opposed to stand up, because I was, in addition to being a nurse, I was a wife. I had a small child and a baby. And, if you do stand up, you out late, 2 and 3 in the morning, by the time you get on an open mic set. And so my ex-husband now wasn't having it at the time. So I was like, I got to find something else to do that can let me be funny, but be home by 10. And so I found 11, 12 latest. I found improv comedy.
Thank you, Tandy. Amechi.
What happened?
I
was so engaged in the story. I think you're such a great interviewer. You know exactly what you're doing.
Good cop out, but it's okay. I'm gonna let you slide this time, Michi. John.
Great. I got a good one. It was, how do you learn improv? Was a question I would have liked you to ask me. And the reason I say that is because whenever I get into a deep conversation about what we do, it usually always pops up, because what it looks like we're doing is just coming up with random thoughts and things, but in essence, there's a framework, which is why improv became an art form, and you learn that framework and you build on those skills, which are being able to listen, and listen to what somebody is actually saying and inferring in the subtext, learning how to accept somebody's idea and make it also your idea, and make it better by adding something to it and not taking something from it, as another framework that we do. The other thing that we learned is empathizing through that process, because if you have to accept somebody's idea, you learn how to just empathize with where they come from, because you have to, in order to make this gumbo work. And finally, it just teaches you a level of just confidence. If you know how to listen when people are speaking to you, and you know how to respond by connecting with somebody, it just makes you a more well-rounded person when it comes to having relationships with people. Everybody in my group, as our improv career has bloomed, our friendships have as well. And it's because of the same things that we just described are all things that we do in our relationships. We listen to each other, we share ideas, we work on each other's ideas to make each other look good. And then the other principle is following the fear. That's just something you hear in improv. Following fear leads you to dismiss your own, insecurities about something you don't want to do. And part of what we do is letting go of what we can't control to create something better.
Beautiful. Antoine, bring us home.
Sure, I'll keep mine short and sweet. I wish you would have asked me if I'm really from Houston, because yes, I am born and raised. For some reason, when people hear how I speak, they don't think that I'm from Houston. They think I'm from somewhere else, but I am. I was raised in Houston, Texas, the SWAT, as some people might know, Southwest, or Southwest, as some other people might say. But that's just so people know, Houston, Texas here. H-Town.
It won't stop.
Can't tell us nothing. Look, guys, it was my honor to have all four of you on Politics Done Right. First of all, I want to thank you for the fun that I had with you guys at the presidential show that we had at KPFT. And I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity and giving my audience the opportunity to learn a little bit about you guys. All the information about you, we are going to put in a blog post, a standalone blog post as well, because again, I think you guys are just great. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.